When it comes to cutting-edge scientific research, it seems Russia is still a major player. This time in our close-up series, we take a look at a doctor's amazing medical legacy. Today we're in the Kurgan region in southern Siberia. In the middle of the 20th century, it became a center for Soviet orthopedics, with a surgeon there developing a revolutionary method of bone restructuring. Decades later, the medical breakthrough is still used to help people overcome their disabilities, as RT's Oksana Boyko reports.
The Soviet Union and Russia gave the world many great inventions, and what's special about them is that the technology behind these know-hows is often very simple, very basic, yet they remain in service for many, many decades. Take the Soyuz rocket, for example. It was designed back in the 60s. The design hasn't changed that much, yet to this day it remains the most reliable and actually at this point of time the only means of transporting humans to the International Space Station. Well, today we want to introduce you to another great invention which proved just as durable, and this is the Ilizarov frame, or the Ilizarov apparatus. It was first designed back in the 50s, but it still remains the main orthopedic technique for treating bone fractures, all sorts of deformities and injuries, as well as for limb lengthening. Our next story is about that. For both of them, it's about walking tall. 8-year-old Intigam with his lagging left leg, and 27-year-old Japanese engineer Kajita with lagging self-confidence. And if Intigam didn't choose his predicament, Kajita very much did.
I'm 10 centimeters shorter than the average height for men in Japan. Because of that, some employers refused to hire me. One of them even told me directly that I was too short to deal with the clients.
Kajita's already spent 3 months in this hospital and plans to stay for another 4 to add the coveted 7 centimeters to his stature. It may seem like a tall order, but the actual surgery is fairly simple, though painful. Invented by the famed Soviet orthopedist Gavril Ilizarov in the 1950s, these frames were initially used to treat fractures and deformities. By cutting bones and slowly pulling them apart, therefore stimulating tissue regeneration, Ilizarov was able to reshape arms and legs in people who thought they were crippled for life. Piecing together patients' shattered bones and, in many cases, their shattered lives was the main goal when Professor Ilizarov designed his first frame using bicycle parts. 60 years later, his invention is increasingly being used to help people who are eager to fracture their legs to become a few centimeters taller. Yet the ultimate goal is still the same: fixing somebody's life, both literally and figuratively. About a third of patients admitted to the Ilizarov Center nowadays are seeking surgery for cosmetic reasons. Most of them are men, and most are not what you would call vertically challenged. Professor Novikov, who operated on many of them, says it usually comes down to a man's pride.
The first patient who turned to us with a leg lengthening request was 2 meters 15 centimeters tall, but he still wanted surgery because his partner was taller than him. We like to say that we need to break their legs in order to fix their head. There may be nothing wrong with them from an orthopedic point of view, but there is something psychological that prevents them from living their lives fully, being happy, and we fix it.
Leg lengthening surgeries are banned in many countries, and even when allowed, they are prohibitively expensive. But in Russia, the entire course costs about 1/10 of the similar package in the United States. Financial considerations were one of the reasons that brought this Washington state native to Western Siberia. Yet his main motive for the surgery had to do with how he fared among others.
In America, average height is 175. I was 167 or 168, and so 8 centimeters would have brought me right to average, and so I just wanted to be average. For women, height isn't so important. You know, I think girl can be short and it's not a big deal. I think a guy is like expected to be taller.
Just before the operation, Moses met a Russian girl who found his original height quite endearing. Yet he still went ahead with the surgery, adding 7 more centimeters to his self-confidence.
She told me the whole time, "You're crazy, you're normal, you're perfect, you're normal." And so now she's like, "Oh, you're so tall."
What a compliment for somebody who is used to falling short of his own expectations. Oksana Boyko, RT, Kurgan region.